It was a bustling week during the National Day holiday.
假期受房地产政策密集发布的影响，
上海市房地产交易中心的数据显示，9月
Not only
30
did tourist attractions welcome a flurry of visitors, but China's real estate market also saw a remarkable surge in sales, which is rare over the past few years. Across the country, cities reported heightened activity in their housing markets. Although autumn has traditionally been a golden period for Chinese realtors to strike a deal, the market boom this time stands out. So, why have so many home buyers chosen to make their move during the holiday period? And more importantly, can this momentum continue? My colleague Sun Ye joins this episode to discuss the recent surge in China's property market. It's Saturday, October the 12th. So, Sun Ye, during this national holiday that just ended, there were news of large numbers of travelers across China. But some of these tourists, they weren't visiting the tourist spots, but rather the sales office of real estate agencies. And how was China's real estate market during this national holiday?
We did talk to some of the travelers over the National Day holiday, and this year China experienced a traffic boom. And probably, yes, some of them are going to look at houses. The short answer to your question is that widespread reports have shown a better than expected housing market performance nationwide during the week-long National Day holiday. But we can go into different cities, right?
Right. Autumn has been a golden period for the realtors in China to make a sale. But this holiday, which is at the start of October, and this holiday does seem to be particularly busy in these real estate agencies. Why there were so many people that had the interest to buy a home during this holiday?
Exactly. And we can look at one of the biggest cities and its change and its reactions in that National Day holiday period. We probably should talk about the case of Shenzhen, a technical power hub in South China, and it's very, very populated.
Right.
Now, Shenzhen, like many other cities, had a round of relaxation of key housing market policies that came into effect on October 1st. That's the first day of the National Day holiday. And those policies include removing of purchase curbs in some districts and allowing non-local home buyers to enter the market. And down payment ratios have also been reduced. And in that 7-day holiday period, some 2,000 new homes in the city were subscribed. That's a 6-fold increase compared to the same period last year. That's according to a local newspaper. And then the daily increase in transactions of pre-owned homes by popular real estate agencies are also reported to be soaring. For instance, one real estate agency Century Property reported transaction volume of new and pre-owned homes surging more than 10 times and 270% respectively in that period, year on year. That's also according to a local newspaper in Shenzhen. And we have similar policies and similar reactions in different major places in China. These cities also announced their policy change in the housing market at the end of September. And also on this Thursday, the eastern Chinese city of Hangzhou, where Alibaba's headquarters is, has announced it will also reduce the minimum down payment ratio for housing mortgages. And that's among the country's latest major city to join all of those relaxation policies.
Okay, so taking these two cities as examples, Shenzhen and Hangzhou, there are many stimulus packages that's being released from the regional local governments to stimulate more buyers in the real estate market. And this is obviously not the first time to see such benefits from the governments. What are the differences between the stimulus package this time and the previous efforts?
I would like to put this batch of housing market changes into a whole range of stimulus policies. We know that China had implemented a whole range of supportive policies to boost economies in its most needed areas, starting in late September, not only for the real estate market, but also for consumption, for foreign companies' investment, for the stock market and others. And this round of policies have been viewed different or considered differently precisely because it's a whole package of supportive policies that have all been bolder, more comprehensive, and they are expected to work together for greater efficacy. Now, that's according to the National Development and Reform Commission, the NDRC, that's China's top economic planner. And NDRC said Tuesday that it will systematically implement the range of supportive policies to further boost China's economic growth. And the NDRC said these supportive policies will address Chinese economy's biggest worries and put it on a good footing, not only to meet this year's growth target, but also put it in a great place to start for the next 5 years. And Zheng Shanjie, the director of NDRC, he said on Tuesday, the supporting policies have several targets to hit. They're targeting the downward pressure in economic operation by strengthening macro policy adjustments. They are targeting insufficient domestic demand by promoting consumption. They are targeting the weakness in the real estate market and with comprehensive measures, and they're also targeting previous stock market downturn with series of policies to shore up the capital market. So that the real estate market is one of the areas NDRC is watching closely. And later this week, I think on Thursday, China said it will expand its whitelist mechanism to ensure that all eligible property projects have enough access to financial support. That's a meeting on Thursday held by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Rural Development and the National Financial Regulation Administration. And it says that financial institutions are required to timely disperse the loans to eligible property projects and meet their financial needs. And that mechanism is, of course, part of China's efforts to stabilize the housing market sector, as previously has been weighed down by debt problems. And it kind of needs some of the confidence boosting for the industry, as we know that industry accounts for nearly 6% of the country's GDP, and that 6% gauge comes from National Bureau of Statistics.
So on top of the packages released from the local governments, there are also efforts on the national level, like from NDRC, the National Development and Reform Commission, the country's top economic regulator. They released a slew of efforts from just earlier this week. But so far, are there any responses from the market as well as the industrial insiders?
The NDRC press briefing where Zheng Shanjie, the director, spoke was on Tuesday, and we all know that Chinese stock market surged on that day, partly because it's still reacting to the late September policies, but also it is reacting to that press briefing. On that press briefing, NDRC explained why the country is implementing all of those range of supportive policies and how it plans to follow through. Now, the NDRC, of course, as we said earlier, those stimulus policies would not only help China meet its growth target for the year, but also help it for the future. It also said that despite the current headwinds, including a slowing global economy, China's stable and robust overall fundamentals remain unchanged. And Zheng Shanjie had said that to help us understand where China's economy currently stands, he said there are two keywords for understanding China's economy: stability and growth. He said stability is reflected in the overall economy, with agriculture production stable, industrial growth fast, the service sector growing steady. He also said investment and consumption has continued to grow. And he also said of the growth part of Chinese economy at this stage. He said he noticed several new areas in good momentum that he expected to grow even further. And also on that NDRC press briefing, several more specific policies also rolled out. China said it plans to roll out more investment projects, including 100 billion yuan, that's over 14 billion US dollar from next year's central government budget, and another 100 billion yuan to be used for key investment projects by the end of this year. NDRC also said China will be introducing a batch of major foreign investment projects and other measures to encourage foreign companies to deepen their roots in China. And I also quote the official who said he hopes the foreign companies will succeed in China. And going back to the real estate policy for this sectors as well as other sectors will be closely monitored and adjusted according to the needs and the environment. That's also according to Zheng Shanjie, the NDRC director. So as the markets react, we're also seeing new policies roll out.
Okay, so the policies from the national government body has a more of a long-term goal. For the long-term confidence to meet the targets, the annual targets and the long-term targets, and which is something that's happening at the moment in the real estate market in many regions and cities across China. But how likely is it for the market to maintain this current growth?
Well, not exactly answering this question, where the real estate market will be going exactly, but we have talked and we have heard from quite a few experts, and they agree that the new policies being implemented on various fronts across sectors, these are helping China to stay on course to achieve its various goals and make the overall economy more resilient. And that's certainly going to help the housing market. And then if we look a little bit back on the past week, the National Day holiday, that we do have some statistics to show where the housing market is going. I have some more statistics from Shanghai and Beijing. You know, the two cities, as we said, also announced policies on home purchases ahead of the week-long holiday, and they have also seen market recoveries. Now, on its part, Shanghai had lowered its buying threshold for non-local buyers. It has reduced its down payment ratios for first-time and second home purchases. It also expanded tax exemptions, and Beijing has also freed up its home buying restrictions. There have been reports that Beijing saw new home transaction volume surge 7 times during the first 6 days of the month from the same period of last year. So what would be interesting for us this weekend is to see how Beijing performed this week.
So there's a lot to look forward to. Thank you very much for speaking with us, Sun Ye.
I'm so glad to join. Thank you.
Over the past 2 decades, China's real estate market has thrived alongside the country's rapid urbanization and economic development. Experts estimate that the property sector accounted for 5.9% of China's GDP in 2023 and over 20% of fixed asset investments in the country. As the Chinese economy transitions to high-quality development driven by technology and innovation, the real estate industry is also exploring new models to adapt to this trend. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Deep Dive. If you enjoyed what you just heard, don't forget to follow us on your podcast platforms. Just search for Deep Dive. You can also leave a comment to let us know what you want to learn about China and beyond. This episode is brought to you by me, Li Yunqi, and my colleagues Zhang Zhang and Qi Zhi. Special thanks to CGTN reporter Sun Ye. I'll see you in the next one.